What's up, guys? I'm here with Joe from Edwin Coe. We're up in Cherubusco right now, and I'm super excited to be here, and it's looking like a good day to be drinking. So yeah, stick around and we'll find out more about them.
Talk about the spirits?
Yeah. What you got running right now?
So we have our vodka, our soft gin, our rum, our barrel aged rum, and our Old Coe. So the barrel aged or the Old Coe is my great grandfather's prohibition whiskey. That's how we got started. Mm-hmm. So he started producing in 1928 in Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. He was in his mid 20s. He distilled until September 2000 when he passed away. So he's in his late 90s. Didn't have a birth certificate, couldn't read or write. No formal education. The recipe is actually not written down anywhere. I haven't even written it down. So if I, get hit by a bus on the way home, then that's it.
So how did you regurgitate that recipe then? Was it just trial and error, or were you able to work with?
I got the recipe and the process from his apprentice. Okay. So my wife and I got married in 2012, and she got me some of his original product, both of his apprentices, and a bunch of memorabilia, the article that's on the wall there in the tasting room, and a bunch of great stuff like that. So I thought, hey, let's not let this recipe die. Let's keep doing it. So I started my stovetop, built a little 5-gallon still, and just started making it for friends and family.
That's cool.
So I did that 2012 to about 2016. And 16, I sold my motorcycle and bought my vodka column. So my wife knew I was serious.
That's a sacrifice.
Yeah. I'm going to start a distillery. She goes, okay, yeah. And then the motorcycle's gone. She's like, oh, okay, you're serious. It's like, yeah, sold my toys. So I bought my first vodka column, started making vodka for my mother-in-law. She was always really supportive, and she drinks vodka. So kind of started to develop that flavor profile until I got something that I thought we could actually sell. And then from there, just kind of started moving down the line. Started the distillery in 2016.
So what was that decision process? I mean, when did you decide that, hey, we're going to do this commercially? Like, let's take it from the stovetop to the...
Yeah.
It sounds like that was, a process you had to go through.
No, not really.
No?
So we kind of saying around here between me and my wife that if we want to know how deep the water is, I'm going to jump in with both feet. She's going to get a tape measure. Yeah. Well, I was sitting at another distillery. I wasn't planning on starting one. I was sitting at one of my friends and thought, wait, this is just a bar that you make your own alcohol. I can make the alcohol and we can hire bartenders. I should do this. And that was in December 28th of 2015. And January 1, I filed for the LLC. So, yeah. Yeah, no joke. Just, let's do it. All right, let's do it.
All right.
So, yeah. And a lot of prep and thought has gone into it throughout. But, yeah, when I start to do something, I just do it and then figure it out as we go. Yeah. Cool.
So let's start with the first one then.
So
right to left?
Yep, we'll drink from right to left.
It'll be different on the camera. Whatever.
Yeah. So we'll start with the vodka. I always start with the cleanest product first. If you drink an Old Coe or you drink a Barrel Aged Rum first, then you try to drink vodka, you're like, this is the smoothest vodka I've ever had in my life. It's like, well, yeah, you just drink whiskey. So start with something with the least amount of flavor while your palate's still fresh, and then work your way across. So it's corn-based vodka, which is going to make it a little more buttery and round, not sharp and dry like a martini vodka. That's going to be usually a rye or a wheat vodka, maybe even grapes. Potatoes, a lot of people think it's potatoes. No one really makes them have potatoes much anymore. There's a couple craft guys, but it's just not that popular.
It's a niche area.
Yeah, it has like this really oily mouthfeel to it, and it's really kind of viscous and just weird. They're also really a pain to work with. You have to peel the potatoes and chop them up and then boil them and then mash them, and it's just a whole process.
Is that a misconception that that's how vodka kind of started, or is?
Yeah. Vodka, I don't know where it actually started, but that became so popular in the Slav block. So potatoes per acre have more starch than any other grain or any other crop. So it's the cheapest way to get grain to make alcohol. So that's why they started using it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a big misnomer. You can if you can ferment cardboard, you can turn it into vodka. It just has to be distilled at over 190 proof and charcoal filtered. So that doesn't matter.
Interesting tidbit to know.
Yeah, anything you want.
Are you a shooter or are you a taster?
I'm a taster.
Yeah.
So I know you've done beer before. Spirit's a little bit different animal.
Yeah.
Kind of takes a little bit of tolerance to drink 80 proof vodka in the morning or even in the afternoon, especially at room temperature. So,
just a little backstory for me. the three clear ones, so the rum, the gin, and the vodka, I don't dabble too much, but whiskey I really enjoy. So I'm really excited for the Old Coe.
Yeah. Vodka's fun once you get into it. So if I go to another distillery or another distiller comes here, that's what I serve them first.
Really?
It's the hardest to make. So you're taking whole kernel corn or whatever your grain is, and you're turning it into this clear, beautiful liquid. So you have to, you're basically showing someone, this is the best I can do at my craft.
Yeah.
Like I can't hide behind a barrel, I can't hide behind junipers or anything else in gin. It's just, this is the best distillate I can possibly make. So here it is, try it.
So there's no flavor adjuncts that go into...
No flavor and nothing. All you can do is pull it off the still to over 190 proof, which it has to be, and then charcoal filter it. And that's it. Add water back to it to proof it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, you're showing someone this is the best, this is as good as I am at my craft. So once you get into vodka, it's really interesting.
Oh,
so yeah, you kind of get that buttery round. Some people get vanilla or even a little butterscotch.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely get that buttery roundness, especially in the nose. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because he's talking about it, but I smell it.
Yeah.
So.
So next we have the soft gin, which I call it soft gin because I set out to make a London dry style, and I just couldn't. They're really difficult to make. Sometimes you have 30 different botanicals, and trying as a craft distiller, trying to get my other products off the line and run your business, trying to get these 30 different botanicals blended properly is just a nightmare.
Oh.
So I thought, I'm going to go really basic. I'm going to strip everything down. And so I just started distilling just junipers to get the flavor profile for the junipers. And then I just started adding one thing at a time until I found the flavor profile I wanted. So we still went through probably 20 or so different recipes until we hit what we wanted. But now it's called soft gin because it's nice and soft. It's very lavender forward, very floral. That's part of the way that we process our junipers and the way we let them macerate a little bit longer and the way we distill it. So you lose a lot of the pine, you bring out a lot of the floral notes. It also has a lot of orange zest. A lot of orange zest. And some citra hops.
That's one of my
three
first
ingredients.
great experiences with gin.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
That's why I call it soft. So I'm not big on names, as you can tell. My vodka's called vodka, my rum is called rum. When it came out with the Barrel Aged Rum, someone's like, what are you going to call it? And I go, what do you think I'm going to call my Barrel Aged Rum? Barrel Aged Rum. So the gin is the only one, and then that's mostly because I didn't want someone to see gin sit on the shelf and go, oh, and expect a London Dry and then pop it open and not have a London Dry. So when you see soft gin and then you taste it, you're like, oh, yeah, I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's much more botanical, herbal, floral style.
So I noticed that you guys, very coolly and almost exclusively you guys really focus on your cocktail section as well of your establishment. How did that kind of develop?
We just really wanted to share our products with the community. And it sounds kind of cheesy and corny, but someone asked, what's your favorite part about this? And I absolutely love distilling. But when you come in on a Friday night and a group of people come in and they're, they're a little stiff from the week and, they've never been here before, especially, and they kind of sit down and they're a little calm and quiet at first, and after a couple of drinks, the cards come out and different games, Cards Against Humanity is almost on every table, which we're over 21 only by state law. So some fun games like that. And so after we start delivering the second round and maybe the third, everyone starts really livening up and there's a lot of fun and laughter. And it's like, all right, this is cool.
Yeah.
We don't really mess around with anything. So if we do something, we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't have a kitchen. That's because I don't have the time to dedicate to developing a proper food menu. But our cocktail menu, we spend months developing our cocktail menu.
Yeah.
We train all of our staff on how to properly make a cocktail and the importance of dilution and the type of water you're using and the ice and all the little tiny minutia of cocktails. So we really strive to have a beautiful cocktail menu.
Yeah.
Because it can make or break it. With beer it's a little bit different. If you go to a bar, you're like, oh, I want someone's beer, and you try it, and you know exactly what it is. I can make the best product in the world, but if you go to a bar and they're using, bad ice or, chlorinated water, and they're making a cocktail, and all of a sudden my products taste terrible, and it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
It's kind of a unfortunate situation with cocktails. Like, yeah, you want your cocktails to be everywhere. At the same time, you're like, I don't want them everywhere. Because sometimes people just don't appreciate the science into a cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hear your wife runs that side. Do you want to call out her at all? Say,
Oh yeah, so she's fantastic. She's really the reason why all this kind of got started. You know, when you're going to start a business and something like this, you don't make a lot of money. And I didn't draw a paycheck for a year. My wife supported our family. You know, working 4 10s as a physical therapist, and then working all weekend in the tasting room.
Yeah. And
then we also have 2 small children, so we're trying to take care of the kids at the same time. So yeah, without all of our friends and family and grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles, this place wouldn't be around. Yeah.
I imagine there's quite a few hurdles, and not even the family side, the legal side, and just everything else. Well, what's that like opening up a distillery in the Fort Wayne area?
The state side isn't so bad. It's about a 2-page document. It's pretty easy. You do a couple inspections, and it's not really so bad. The federal government, that's a really tough one.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean I think my permit was probably 40 or 50 pages by the time it was done. It took me 3 or 4 months to fill out, and that's with the help of an attorney.
Yeah. And
then you have 10 months of processing time and corrections and all kinds of stuff. So it's not easy. It's very very tough.
Well, it's awesome to see you guys made it here, because I mean, it's an awesome place. I can tell you, just interacting with all the beer groups and the whiskey groups and everything else, everyone was excited for Edwin Coe to show up.
Yeah, it's been
Cajun style was such a unique flair in Fort Wayne.
So distillers are interesting. There's a lot of beer groups, home brewers associations and stuff, and everyone can get together and share their knowledge. And then you build up your home brewery, and then you start your commercial brewery. With distilled spirits, you have to break the law. No one wants to let you in their garage while they're distilling.
Yeah.
So there's no community whatsoever, and you're just in here taking your lumps, trying to figure everything out as you can. And like I said, you just had to break the law for a while. And then you finally get your permits. And when I got mine in Indiana, you had to wait 3 years to open to the public like this. So yeah. So once you had your permits, you couldn't let the public in, so you're missing all that cash flow, you're missing everything else.
I've always heard that was kind of backwards. Even for like if you're just distilling whiskey, like you have to wait so long before it's even called whiskey. So how do how do you?
That's a whole different thing. But as far as the state's concerned, you can't be open to the public for the first 3 years. They've dropped that to 18 months. But still, breweries, I think it's 6 weeks. Same thing with wineries. As soon as you get your permit, you can be open to the public, and it's really hard to build a brand when you can't let anyone in your building.
No, I imagine.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you want to check out my distillery? Oh, I can't let you in. But go try it on the shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's just networking, word of mouth.
It's grinding liquor stores.
Yeah.
So for the first 2 years, I spent every weekend, Friday and most Saturdays, with the table set up at liquor stores, just handing out samples, talking to people. So 2 years of grinding that out. Yeah.
So when did you start seeing that turnaround, that shift from, who are these guys, to, let's go to Edwin Coe?
Pretty quickly as soon as we opened the tasting room.
Yeah.
So we have a little tasting room over here, and it seats about 35. And that was originally, I was hoping to keep that busy throughout our first season. And now we're sitting out here in the main production space. We have seating for a little over 120. We really need to. We can push it up to 150, and it's pretty busy all the time.
Yeah.
So it pretty quickly outgrew our own space, and we've got plans to open a new tasting room over here behind us.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's exciting news.
Yeah. So get some of my production space back, and have a nice wide open tasting room area.
That's cool.
So.
Great for. Are you working on the juniper?
So this is the rum.
Okay.
So the rum is going to be certified organic sugarcane instead of blackstrap molasses. Rum just has to be anything that is cane or cane byproduct. Mm-hmm. So that's why a lot of people use blackstrap molasses. There's a little bit of remnant sugar left in the molasses, and so you can ferment it and go. We use organic sugarcane instead, which you'll be able to really tell the difference in the flavor. So once that heat dies off, you're left with like some caramel, some vanilla notes, and it's really just not your dry sugar-based, even though it's sugar-based. You can use white granulated sugar, and that makes a really harsh rum, or you can make molasses, and that also doesn't, in my opinion, make a great rum. So we use the certified organic sugarcane, and it just...
Is that why you see less clear rums like this and more spiced rums on the shelf?
I think so.
Just to hide that.
Sugar in general isn't a great base for a distillate.
Gotcha.
You use rye and whiskey to make it spicy. You use corn to make it a little buttery and a little smooth and a little sweet. Sugar is just harsh. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
When you make vodka or you make gin, actually you're making essential oil vodka. So you make vodka first, put all your botanicals in, and you redistill it. You distill all the oils out with the alcohol. And so the same thing happens when you do grains. You have the oil from the grain, like a vegetable oil. That's usually corn. So you still have a lot of those oils that go up through the column. When you have a sugar wash, there's just nothing there. There's nothing to add to it. So it just tastes like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah.
But if you use good base product, then there is something to come through, which is the organic sugar cane. So we also have, and it's just not as popular up this way. The further south you get, the more popular rum becomes.
And this goes along with your backstory and the whole Cajun heritage. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like how that developed into, and how you infuse that into your products? Like,
yeah.
Obviously, don't give away trade secrets or anything like that, but.
Cajuns are a little rebellious and
Okay.
they're really stubborn.
I can see that.
Yeah, they just kind of do their own thing. They don't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
And you have to have a little bit of that. Like I said, so you have to bootleg for a couple of years before you can start a distillery, unless you want to start it and not know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so just kind of stuff like that. It's just this culture of we're gonna do whatever we want. We don't really care. And so that kind of feeds off of my own personality of just, I'm gonna follow rules, but only to a certain extent. You're not gonna stop me from distilling in my garage.
Yeah.
I could have. But and the little Cajun heritage is just, it really resonates with us. My wife and I were from Busco. We both went away to university and then came back and settled down in Busco. And Cajun people are just country people. Mm-hmm. They just happen to speak French or Creole French. Mm-hmm. And so as you kind of go into our tasting room and stuff, you kind of see that feel of like just kind of a hometown. We have a lot of people come in and say, the cocktails are really, really elevated and great, but the whole facility is very non-pretentious. It's just authentic and fun, and we set out to design a place that we wanted to hang out in. And so that's exactly what we've done. Just like, hey, this is what I want to do. So that's what we did.
And how did you talk about your grandfather, I think it was? How he started out in Louisiana. How do you make that transition up into Indiana?
So he didn't have a birth certificate, couldn't read or write, no formal education. Grew up on the Chapelaya Basin. Mm-hmm. And my grandmother actually moved up to Indiana to get an education, live with her aunt. So she grew up in the Wayndale area.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So just pure luck, or whatever you want to call it, chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I had met my grandfather a handful of times, my great grandfather a handful of times, but I was really close to his daughter, Thelma, which is actually, our still's named after her.
Okay.
She passed several years ago, about 10 years ago, but she lived a couple miles down the road from me as a kid, so I'd ride my bike down and spend weeks at a time at her house, in the summers and stuff. So that's really my appreciation for she tried to teach me Creole French, but as a 6-year-old, I didn't care.
Didn't stick.
And I wish of course, now I'm like, man, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Really should have. I should have listened to Grandma. She taught me a lot of other great things, but I really wish that I would let that stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But so we'll go on to the Barrel Aged Rum, which we did as kind of a goof. It was one of those happy accidents. We had some extra rum sitting around early on when we didn't have quite the distribution that we have now. And so we were outproducing our sales. And so I thought, I have a bunch of rum sitting around. So I filled 4 barrels with rum, or used whiskey barrels with rum, and we just let it sit around for a while. We kept moving them from rack to rack. And I was like, let's taste these. Pulled them off, popped the bungs, and went, we should have done 20 barrels.
I bet.
But you don't know,
Yeah.
It's, you don't want to waste a bunch of distillate, and especially when it comes to aged products. If you're starting to develop a bourbon, you've got to let it sit for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And you put it in, you think, this is going to be a really great distillate. And then it comes out and you go, this isn't such a really great distillate.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen to me too much anymore, but when I first started, the first 5-gallon barrel I ever filled, by the time that had aged, I knew it was going to be bad, because the amount that I'd learned in the time it was aging, I was just like, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it was bad.
But it was still a good memory, though.
It was a great memory, and I learned a lot of hard lessons,
like,
and yeah. I still have a couple bottles of it, and it's, you don't want to drink it. But you learn those hard lessons. I mean, those are the best, hard-won lessons are the best ones to learn. So that's something you can't read in a textbook, or someone can't, tell you. It's like, oh yeah, we learned that one the hard way.
Yeah.
So
let's try this.
Yeah, so this is, the Old Coe is definitely our flagship product. The Barrel Aged Rum is kind of becoming the gem, though.
Yeah.
We've had to limit people to 1 bottle per person when they come in here. We don't sell it retail just because it goes so quickly. I know it comes out seasonally, it comes out in September, so you can't even buy it right now. So we're out. I think this is one of the last 2 or 3 bottles that we have even in the shop here. So
that's cool to see. So hopefully in the future,
my plan is to get it up to where I can release it twice a year.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens with that. I kind of like it being special and
I get that.
Just when I have time to get to you, Barrel Aged Rum, that's when I'll distill you and barrel you. But
it keeps the value fresh in people's minds too.
Yeah,
you know, like,
it's like, oh man,
I haven't had it in a year. I need.
Yeah, and it makes for a really nice party. So every September we have a barely release party.
Yeah.
And so it makes for a really fun party too, because it's something to look forward to right after school gets back in session, and there's really nothing else to do. Summer's winding down. It's like, hey, let's have a big party and drink some rum. So it has a lot of the same notes and characteristics as the white rum. You still get some of that on the very back end.
Yeah.
You some of that caramel vanilla.
Subside.
Once that burn kind of goes away. But then you get a lot of the whiskey notes. So you still get a lot of the vanillas, the oak, the smoke. Some people get, like banana peel. It really depends. Tasting anything is really strange. If you're hydrated, you're going to taste something differently. It would depend on what you ate in the morning. There's a lot of different things that go into, not just a lot of people think, oh, if I just brush your teeth, orange juice tastes bad, but there's a lot of other things that go into it too.
Yeah.
Just the pH of your mouth, and like I said, if you drink coffee in the morning, if you're drinking water, hydrated, dehydrated, whatever. So you taste something different every time, and everyone tastes something different.
No.
If you're stuffed up, I have bad allergies, so half the time I'm like, I'm not even gonna put this in a barrel yet. I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. Take some extra allergy medicine tonight, and so my sinus will be clear. I'm like, oh, okay, that tastes good.
That's kind of a cool question. Then, do you, as you're building a product, do you reference to other people a lot, or do you just like, hey, I'm Cajun, I can do what I want?
Not with the products themselves.
Okay.
With the cocktails, yes. So we have our group of 3, actually 4. My wife, Jen, one of our bartenders, and my sister-in-law, who you've kind of seen in the background here getting ready this morning. And kind of the 4 of us come together and we start getting things together, like working on the spring menu now. And then 2 or 3 weeks before we release it, we'll bring in friends and family and spouses and like, hey, everyone just come in and hang out and drink for free all day because we're gonna make 12 variations of this cocktail, and everyone just needs to try it and we'll pick the one that tastes the best.
Yeah.
When it comes to the spirits themselves, I'm always very open to criticism. Especially when I first started, I said, hey, tell me, good, bad, ugly. I can't make it better if you're not honest with me. If you're just like, you don't hurt my feelings, and say, oh yeah, this is great. I'm like, oh good, I'm gonna keep pushing it out that way.
Yeah.
And if I hear enough times, like, no, I'm like, all right, I need to fix something.
Yeah.
So anymore, my palate is refined enough that I think I still appreciate the feedback, and you can't be everyone's favorite brand. You can't be everything to everybody. So if someone says I just don't like it, it used to crush me. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not good at this. And
depends on the person though.
Yeah, and now that I have confidence in my distillation and my palate and my process, I think it's just not their cup of tea.
Yeah.
But there are still there's a handful of people who I really respect their opinions. Our barrel maker, the Cooper, is one of them. Mm-hmm. He has an amazing palate, and so last time I dropped off some barrels, I gave him some of the Barrel Aged Rum this last batch. I was like, all right, tell me what you think.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, he had this huge text message back of like all the different notes he was getting and some critiques. He's like, maybe if you did this with a barrel, or I can make you one like this to kind of change some flavor profile. So I take his opinion very, very seriously.
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
it's always nice having a close knit group that you can.
Yeah. So the last product we have is our flagship product. This is the Old Coe. Mm-hmm. Which is named after my grandfather. So actually, it's a good segue into the brand itself. It's called Edwin Coe. Mm-hmm. Everyone called my grandfather Coe Dupuis in Cajun country. Your real name isn't even in the phone book. It goes by someone's nickname because no one knows anyone's full name. Kind of back to that rebellion. It's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So everyone just called him Coe Dupuis. Some people thought his name was Coe. Some people thought his name might be Edwin Dupuis. But after he passed away, I found out through a census report that his name was actually Joseph Edwin Dupuis. And I was also named.
Even as his grandson, you didn't.
Yeah.
Like,
and actually, when I told my dad, he's like, I didn't know that. Like, my dad didn't know his birthday. If my grandmother knew, she took it to the grave with her. She didn't let any of us know when his birthday was. There's 2 different dates floating around that people were like, oh, maybe it's this one. Everyone celebrated both of them.
Yeah.
He was kind of the godfather down that way. Everyone really, he's like an old sage. Everyone really appreciated him. But my name is Joseph Edwin. Through complete coincidence. Mm-hmm. So I started the distillery, I called it Edwin Coe. But since this is our aged product, named it Old Old Coe. So it's my, I wouldn't say it's my great-grandfather's whiskey, because I didn't learn directly from him. And even if you learn directly from someone, your flavor profile, everything you do changes something a little bit. So it's the best I can get. I still have some of his product and both of his apprentices, and so I taste everything based off of that. You'll see on the bottle, all the proofs are always written in by hand, and that's so I'm not pigeonholed into one specific proof. I take the barrels that I think are ready, I harvest them, I put them in a large vessel, and then I start proofing them down until it tastes right. And then I proof it and go, oh, all right, here we go, and we write it in.
Yeah.
So that way I'm not, it's not 85 every single time. It's whatever I think tastes right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's my variation of Grandpa's product, but it's
kind of a homage type of thing.
Yeah, I mean it's very, very close.
Yeah.
But it's still, even his apprentices aren't going to be the exact same. It doesn't taste the same as his.
Yeah.
But it's really fun to make.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it.
That's just so cool, because you think, or you hear a Cajun distillery and then you taste it and it's like, all right, I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it's a lot of, yeah. The whiskey's fun too. I actually just started making a Rye Old Coe, so this one's mostly corn-based, and I prefer things, as much as I enjoy this one, I prefer things to be a little spicier. So I always like rye-based products, especially in the
a little hotter
whiskey.
on the
a little spicier, a little hotter. I think that'll actually be, calling it now, that'll be the next trend. So as you see, when people start first starting into beer,
you heard it here.
Yeah, they're drinking, they're drinking Pilsners, lagers. They get into more heavy IPAs, double IPAs, that kind of thing. And people's palates get more refined, and so they want more and more flavor to go with that. Bourbon is really the sweetest, smoothest of all the whiskeys. There's 42 different classifications for whiskey, or subcategories, and bourbon is definitely the sweetest.
Yeah.
Unless you get into like a rock and rye or something that's actually has sugar added to it.
Yeah.
It's the easiest to drink, and I think as this craze kind of moves forward, it's going to taper off, and people are going to start getting more into scotches and more into ryes. So I'm kind of getting ahead of that a little bit and thought, I'm going to make a Rye Old Coe, because in 2 years when everyone's kind of like, yeah, bourbon, let's try some rye. I'm like, oh, got it.
As you talk about that, I can definitely see that, because the bourbon craze is huge right now. So I could see, hey, I need something a little more. I need something a little more.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't hardly give away bourbon in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was a dead spirit. There's your big manufacturers who've always been around, but there wasn't any of these craft guys making it especially.
Yeah.
And now it's this huge surge, and like anything else, it'll start to die off. But I think rye whiskey's going to replace it. People's palates are going to get really, like, yeah, give me some spice, give me some heat, give me some fun.
So this is probably a new question, and I put it on our little back and forth just because I didn't know.
Yeah.
You advertise as an Indiana sour mash.
Mm-hmm.
What went into that kind of category that you placed it under, and what is a sour mash as far as?
So a sour mash is the way you ferment.
Okay.
Think of sourdough bread, sour beer. It's kind of in that same vein. So after I've distilled and I have all the spent grains and I've removed all the alcohol out, what you're left with still has a lot of nutrients, and it has a lot of magnesium, nitrogen. The pH is really low, which is nice. And so you take a little bit of that, you set it back, it's called back set. And when you make the next batch, then you dump some of that into when you pitch your yeast. So in the stillage, we call it, or the spent grains, there's a lot of dead yeast. There's still like I said, all the nutrients from the grain themselves, and so when you throw that in, that's a nice starter for your next yeast batch. But also, honestly, it sours it a little bit. You can smell it in here when I'm fermenting Old Coe. It smells a little sour. Sour cream, sourdough bread, that kind of thing. It smells a little sour, and so that's why it's a sour mash.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So every batch has a little from the previous batch. So technically, the very first batch I ever made, there's a small.
There's some in there.
Yeah, it's a couple ppms left of that in this one.
No, that's really cool.
It also helps with consistency. So as you probably know, for beer, wine, anything else, distilled spirits, your yeast really change your flavor profiles a lot. And so if you're using some of the same back set, and it's really going to help maintain the same flavor consistency in your mash and then into your distillate.
So one of my last questions is just how has Fort Wayne received it? I mean, how's they received your opening? Are they Chomping at the bit, waiting to get in like you hoped?
Yeah. So Thelma behind us. We've been behind on production for about a year and a half.
That's a good problem to have.
And stills take about 10 months to produce. So once we started falling behind and we were staying behind, I didn't want to invest in a large still until I knew that it wasn't, just a little bump in our sales. And so we kind of waited a little while, and then we just pulled the trigger. It takes 10 months to show up. So I'm at least 3 or 4 months behind on my Old Coe. I'm at least a month or 2 behind on my clears, and I'm really far behind on my Barrel Aged Rum. I'd like that to be retail, and right now I can only sell it in here. So my distributor calls me up and say, hey, I need X amount of cases of this. And he goes, how much of these can I have?
Yeah.
So it's been great. It's still a problem, if you can't keep up production, it's still a problem, but it's the best problem to have.
Yeah.
Is not being able to keep up. So it's been fantastic. I think when you really care about something as much as I care about making distilled spirits, people feel that. They feel that when they walk in the door. They feel that when I'm out talking to people. They feel that in the bottles, even though even though they don't know who I am. They just, or have never tasted my products. They'll see it in the liquor store, they'll try it. Maybe a clerk will say something about like, oh yeah, these guys are in Busco, and give them a shot, and they try it, and I hear from them on Facebook or email, or they stop in and say, oh my gosh, this is great. And part of that was just, I think you feel the love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Fort Wayne's a good area to start a business in, so I'm glad you did it here.
And people are really excited about local. Everyone is really, as my degree's in economics, I've always been pushing local. Mm-hmm. Even before, local was
cool.
I guess
you were the cool.
I guess not that. We had a business before, and I would tell my employees okay, if you're going to the hardware store, go to a Do It Best because they're locally owned. Yeah. Then work your way up, and finally end up at one of the big box stores. Because I know, that the money stays locally. So, but now that the local thing is really big, I think people are starting to understand and really appreciate it, and it's nice to see people go, oh yeah, I'll give these guys a shot. And so you still have to have a good product. People buy your product once because it's local. They'll only buy it a second time because it's good. Yeah. So gotta start with something good.
That's cool. So last question then being just, what do you got planned? You talked a little bit about the tasting room, expanding production hopefully.
Expanding production, new tasting room. We've really kind of hit a nice stride where now we're just a continuation of what we've already really developed. We've got 5 really strong products. I'm consistently trying to make them better, but I'm not really developing anything new right now. That's a lie. I'm doing a Rye Old Coe. I'm going to do a rye whiskey. I'm going to do a high rye bourbon. I want to do an añejo. I'd like to get a brandy still and do a brandy. You can't put fruit into a grain still. So I need to get a different still in order to do a brandy, but I'd like to do that too. So that's a complete lie. I have a lot of products I want to do.
Right.
So many products.
We'll be holding our breath waiting for them.
Yeah. A lot of those take time though. So like the Rye Old Coe, that's not going to be until 2022 until someone's going to see that. So you get really excited and you put it in the barrel and you go, all right, and then you just sit and wait. You try to forget about it. Yeah. It's on the shelf over here in the corner of my eye. Trying to look at it. But hopefully a new tasting room. Busco in Fort Wayne, Columbia City, Auburn, Kendallville, Albion. Everyone's been really supportive. We got people from Huntertown too. Everyone, it's not a far drive for anybody. A lot of people think that Cherubusco is Elkhart because when you get on the 30, that sign says Elkhart Cherubusco.
Not quite.
Yeah, I think we're like 7 minutes from DuPont Road from here. It's not far at all. So once the community kind of realized that and we gained their trust with cocktails, a lot of times when someone hears cocktails, they think mixed drink, which is like a rum and Coke or something like that. And it's not, it's a cocktail. Yeah. And so all we used to sell is mules and old fashions when we very first started. We get some here and there. Now we've really gained the community's trust and they think, oh, those 4 ingredients sound great. I know they make good cocktails, so I'll try that one. Mm-hmm. If it's something they've never heard of, which usually they haven't because we kind of make up all of our own stuff. But we've really gained their trust, and so that's been nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a good segue into the end point, and that's just an opportunity for you to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You want to invite people in, do whatever you gotta do, man.
I would say my biggest thing is to get people to appreciate cocktails and get away a little bit from the RTDs, ready to drinks, beer and wine. Not that I don't love beer and wine myself, but if you like cooking, you'll like cocktails. Yeah. Your base ratio is 2 parts spirits, 1 part acid, 1 part sweetener. And if you kind of stick to that golden ratio, you can really find anything in your refrigerator and make a good cocktail. We get that a lot, like someone's like, oh, I really like your gin, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, 2 parts gin, 1 part acid, 1 part sweetener. For gin, lime and honey is really good. You know, they're really two good acid and sweeteners. But that's really the big thing. I think a lot of people are intimidated by cocktails. They don't need to be hard. Start with a good product. Start with 2 or 3 good ingredients and some decent ice, and make something up, and you'll like it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you coming.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It was fun.
Good.